Shabbat Shalom. Welcome. Good to see everyone here this evening, and welcome to those joining us on live stream. We are glad to have you with us. We'll begin on page 142 with the singing of Shalom Aleichem. We'll sing Debbie Friedman's version, which means the last verse, instead of Seidchem l'Shalom, go in peace, we say to God's ministering angels, we'll say Shuvchem l'Shalom, which means return in peace. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruch Hu Ni L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem, Shuvchem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we'll turn to page 120 for lighting of Shabbat candles. I'd like to invite Barbara Meyer to light and bless the candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam, Asher Kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom once again. Thank you, Barbara. We'll continue on page 127 in the middle. We'll read together. We offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessings, O God. On page 138, we'll sing Lecha Dodi, verses 1, 2, 5, and 9, as we symbolically welcome the Shabbat bride. In doing so, you can stand during the last verse, face the doorway of the sanctuary, and those watching on live stream can stand and face the doorway to the room you're in as well. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet v'litchila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor habracha, Merosh mikedem nesucha, Sof maaseh b'machshavat chila. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitorari, Kiva orechu mi ori, Uri, shir daberi, Kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, Gam b'simcha u'v'tzola, Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nekabela. We'll continue on page 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Page 144. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, bagala uvizman kariv v'imeru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach, le'alamu al me'almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitale, v'yitalal, shmei dekudusha, richu, leila min kol birchata, v'shirata, tushbechata, v'nechemata, damiran be'alma, v'imeru. Amen. Please rise for Baruch, page 146. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Yai la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai Porach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. HaMevorach HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Page 148. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim v'chokhma poteach she'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umisader et hakochavim v'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono reyom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech v'choshech mipnei or umavir yom umevi layla umavdil ben yom uvein layla Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid imloch Elenu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai ha'ma'ariv aravim. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. We'll continue with Shema, page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed. And Ve'ahavtas on page 154. Please be seated. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha v'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol meodecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha uvlechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot b'eineinecha uv'tavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 159. Sing the song of people joined in understanding and respect the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come. The song of a land once ravaged by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more. The song of a world redeemed, the song of peace. Mi chamocha on page 158. Mi chamocha bailim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar bakodesh, nora tehilot o seifele, nora tehilot o seifele, mahalechutecha ra'u vanecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam, zeli zeli anu ve'amru, Adonai yimloch leolam ba'ed, yam bam bam bim bim bam, yababam bam bim bam, yam bam bam bim bim bam, yababam bam bim bam, ay 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 ay, yababam bam bim bam, ay 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 ay, yababam bam bim bam. Page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We'll continue with Vishamru, page 162. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Beini uven bnei Yisrael oti leolam, oti leolam. Veshamru bnei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai, asa Adonai, et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash, shavat vayinafash. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. We'll continue with Tefillah, page 164, and the following pages in Hebrew. Please rise. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh Hakol, V'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula, Livnei V'nehem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer, Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen Avraham, Bezrat Sarah, Ata Gibor Leolam Adonai, Mechaye HaKol Ata, Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Berofech Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishene Afar, Michamocha Bal Gevurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memit, Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'hachayot hakol, Baruch ata Adonai, Mechaye hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'chol yom, Yehallelujah Selah, Baruch ata Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. And we'll continue on page 173. We'll read together at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat. And read in the middle of page 178, Prayer for Peace. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people, forever. For you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Blessed are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamivarech et amo Yisrael, b'shalom. We'll continue singing Shalom Rav at the top of the page. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon Lecho hashalom, ki ata hu melech adon, lecho hashalom, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam, shalom rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam v'tov be'einecha livarech et amcha Yisrael bechol leit ubechol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. Tasim leolam. We'll take a moment now for individual silent prayer and reflection. Ose shalom bimromav huya ase shalom Elenu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru. We'll turn now to Seder Kriyat HaTorah, service for the reading of Torah, beginning on page 364. And I'd like to call up to open the ark, Fred Goldhaber, and to carry the Torah, Jay Schoenfeld, and in a few moments to undress the Torah scroll, Mark Freyla. Please rise. Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Ki mitzion teitzei Torah, Udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch Shenatan. Thank you. Torah, Torah, Baruch Shen, which is that one? Torah, Torah, Le'amo, face the congregation. Rahel, B'Kdushato, Shema Yisrael, Adonai, Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlu Adonai iti, Uneromema Shemo Yachdav. Lecha Adonai Hagedula V'Hagevura. The other one. V'Hatiferet V'Hanetzach v'hahod. Thank you. You can follow if you want. Chov hashamayim uva'aretz, ki chov hashamayim uva'aretz. Lecha Adonai hamamlacha, v'hamit nahaseh lechol lerosh. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Thank you. Mu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtachavu lehar kodsho. Our Torah portion for this evening can be found on page 1417. It's called Re'eh, and we're going to be reading from chapter 11, starting at verse 26. And I'll be talking about a separate part of this portion in a few moments, but this section we're reading now on page 1417 in the commentary reiterates one of the main messages in the Torah, often, especially in the book of Deuteronomy, that God has given us a choice, choosing between good and evil, blessing and curse. If we obey God's commandments, there will be blessing. If we don't, there will be curse. As the Israelites are very close to entering the promised land after 40 years of wandering, it's a reminder of the main message of following God's commandments. For the Aliyah, Ta'amod Chana Bat Shimon, call for Aliyah Carol Ann Gordon.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacha Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torto. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Rei Anochi Noten Lifnechem Hayom Bracha V'Klala Et HaBracha Asher Tishmeu Al Mitzvot Adonai Elohechem Asher Anochi Mitzavetchem Hayom V'Haklala Im Lo Tishmeu El Mitzvat Adonai Elohechem Usartem Min Haderech Asher Anochi Mitzaveh Etchem Hayom Lalechet acharei Elohim acherim asher lo yadatem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah b'emet v'chayei olam nata b'tachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua, thank you very much. prayer for healing. Mishaberach Avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yivarech v'Yiraped Kol Cholei Adam Yisrael v'Kol Cholei Adam. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all those who are in need of healing. On this Shabbat, we think especially of Ira Berezowski, Hannah Gerstein, Rachel Beers, David Silberhartz, Lanny Eisenberg, Michael Eisenberg, Sam Rotman, David Abbey, Margaret Schoenfeld, Carol Frisha, Marie Cardella, Ora Barrett, Joe Cooper, Ann Bignon, Jim Walker, Carol Wallace, Leon Felsher, Al Camera, Josephine Baez, Angelina Acevedo Romed, Susan Sadens, Lindsay Hartman, Lucas Hartman, Arlene Guma, Paul Guma, Nancy Blake, Ellie Walsh. We also pray for healing for servicemen and servicewomen who have been wounded or injured on behalf of our country. I also wanted to mention one more name for healing. Rabbi Fisher mentioned to me today, some of you may know Scott Gingold, who was a member a number of years ago. Unfortunately, for some time, he's had trouble communicating. He was able to look at letters and talk to people through a computer in the room. Unfortunately, he's had a deterioration in his eye muscles, which doesn't allow him to do that anymore. He's only able to blink once for yes and twice for no. So it's a very difficult situation for Scott and his family, and we think of him. I also wanted to mention, Rabbi Fisher let me know, that the family has asked that on this Tuesday evening at 8:18, his family is asking for prayers for him to be able to use his eyes again to communicate. So anyone who wants to participate in that on your own, please do that 8:18 p.m. Tuesday. If anyone has the name or names of anyone else who is sick or injured in need of healing, please feel free to mention them as I look in your direction. And those watching on live stream, feel free to mention names at this time as well. Tishlach Lachem Refuah Shlema, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, V'nomar Amen. May God grant all of them, those whose names have been read and mentioned, and those who are in our own hearts and minds, a complete and speedy healing, a healing of body and a healing of spirit. And we say together, Amen. We'll join together on page 371 in the middle with Misha Berach, prayer of healing for loved ones. Misheberach Avotenu Mikor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mikor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And we'll prepare to lift and dress the scroll on page 370 and then 374. I'd like to invite Charles Miller for Hugbah to lift the scroll and Mort Rosen for Galila to dress the scroll. Please rise. Vezot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei v'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai beyad Moshe. Eitz Chaim hi lamachazikim ba v'tomcheha. May this breastplate first. Ushar deracheha narchei noam v'chol netivoteha shalom. Ashivenu Adonai elecha. Can you get the ark? V'ashuva. Thank you. Chadesh, Chadesh Yameinu, Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Thank you. Please be seated. Well, I will promise you that the topic of my Devar Torah was not intentional. I wasn't trying to grasp at straws to find some connection with something in the news this week, but two things are proven. One is that God works in mysterious ways, and the other is it's amazing how much what's in the Torah from thousands of years ago can really connect to things that impact us today. Some of you may already know what I'm referring to. This week's Torah portion, Re'eh, a little later in chapter 15, talks about the remission of debts. We all know that is a topic that has been in the news a lot this week, and for some reason is quite controversial, even though it certainly seems like it's trying to do good for a lot of people. But I'm not here to talk politically or anything like that. I'm here to talk about the Torah portion. Because in this week's Torah portion, Re'eh, we see an answer to growing debt. It is quite simple, really, and that is, every so often, just cancel the debts, every 7 years. Now, of course, I'm a rabbi, I'm not an economist, so I'm not seriously suggesting this as a solution for our overall economic issues. However, there is much to be learned from the message of this debt plan. Here is what we read later on in our portion this week in Deuteronomy chapter 15. Every 7th year you shall practice the remission of debts. This shall be the nature of the remission. Every creditor shall remit the due that he claims from his neighbor. He shall not dun his neighbor or his kinsman, for the remission claimed is of Adonai. There shall be no needy among you. Put simply, every 7 years, any debts are canceled. Any money owed to another person would no longer be owed. Like the weekly Shabbat, the 7th year provides a respite from our concerns. The idea behind this rule was to remind us that everything ultimately belongs to God. It was to prevent a system in which some people were able to build up more and more while others had nothing. Now, while this is a great idea in theory, it creates numerous potential problems. Many people, for example, might build up large debts, knowing they would not have to pay them back. But the Torah is more concerned with the actions of those lending the money and the impact on those in need. Our portion states, "Beware, lest you harbor the base thought, the 7th year, the year of remission, is approaching, so that you are mean to your needy kinsman and give him nothing." The problem, as the Torah sees it, is not so much poor people hoarding money, but wealthy people who would normally lend money not doing so, knowing that they would not get it back once the 7th year came. So a system originally meant to help the poor and maintain equity actually ended up doing the opposite. I can only imagine how such a dilemma would cause tremendous dissension in our day, let alone in biblical times. Fortunately, a figure emerged with a creative and middle-of-the-road solution to the issue. Rabbi Hillel, 2,000 years ago, saw the problem that the Torah's instructions were causing. So he set out to solve it while still respecting the Torah's teaching. Being a lawyer at heart, he cleverly devised a legislation known as a prose rule. He saw that in the Torah, the law about canceling refers to debts owed from one's neighbor and one's brother. Those are the terms that are used. In other words, the law was written to apply to individual loans. So Hillel changed the system so that all loans technically went through the court, not through an individual. And technically this meant that an institution, not an individual, made the loan. Therefore, it was not eligible to be canceled in the 7th year. And the result, of course, was that people were much more willing to lend money as the 7th year approached, and the poor, therefore, always had what they needed. Though not ideal in theory, as originally intended, in reality, such a change in the law made it work better for everyone. The Talmud itself, a major document of Jewish law from over 1,500 years ago, stated that Rabbi Hillel instituted this prose bull, mipnei tikkun olam, for the betterment of the world, or the repair of the world. Clearly, this is the case, both in his intentions and especially in the results. It is well worth noting how the Talmudic rabbis maintained a healthy respect for tradition while being sensitive and innovative in their approach to solving controversial issues. They weren't afraid to change the law as they could in order to make it better. In order to best create a result that recognized the actual spirit of the law, they were willing to sacrifice part of the letter of the law, what some might stubbornly cling to as a matter of principle. So we have much to learn in our day from the Torah, from the rabbis years ago, and the importance of principled compromise, seeing the big picture when making decisions. By following their lead, we can lead our communities locally and nationally to a better and stronger place. And then we will be rich in the truest sense. Shabbat Shalom. We pray for a time when there is respect throughout the world, when God is one and God's name is one, as we recite Elenu, page 586. Please rise. Elenu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula leotzir breshit, shelo asanu ki goyei ha'aratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. Please be seated. Page 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance, and our life burns down and gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more, and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. On this Shabbat, we remember the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death, of Sheila Agid Kasowitz, Jack A. Lenz, father of Lloyd Lenz, Jeanette Domro Rubin, Sarah Frisch, grandmother of Andrea Barbakoff, Sarah Schneider, Milton Sturman, father of George Sturman, Milton Weineck, Sylvia Red Berman, Abraham Ullman, Florence Brown, sister-in-law of Joan Abbey, Harry Brunner, grandfather of Laura Gewurtz, Cecily Flaster, mother of Norm Flaster, Dina Leah Rosenzweig, niece of Dean and Sue Rosenzweig, Walter Zuckerwise, father of Phyllis Stern, Hyman Cohen, Perry Kumsky, grandfather of Matthew Hecht, Jenny Frankenstein, grandmother of Ann Gerstein, Al Martin, Flo Peck, friend of Irva Steinweiss, Sanford Teller, father of Betty Fagan, Edgar Cohn, father of Alan Cohn, Gloria Kramer, aunt of Evan Barbakoff. We also remember for Shloshim, those who passed away recently, Eileen Donnell, cousin of Rabbi Stephen Carroll, Alice Schleifer, member of our congregation, Jack Abbey, husband of Joan Abbey, Martin Platt, friend of Marion Goralnik. If anyone has a name or names of someone for yahrzeit, anniversary of death, or Shloshim, a recent death, please feel free to mention the name or names as I once again look in your direction. And those watching on live stream, feel free to mention the names at this time as well. For the names that have been read, the names that were mentioned, for those in our own hearts and minds, and those who have no one to say the words of Kaddish for them. We turn to page 598 in the prayer book. There we find words of this prayer, praising God for the gift of life. And we stand together, as is our custom, as a sacred congregation, in support of those in mourning as we recite these words together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kedusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim Elenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu yaseh shalom Elenu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, all Israel and all of humanity, and we say together, amen. Please be seated. And I'd like to invite Ira Schiff, who is representing our temple board this evening, for some greetings and announcements.
First thing I would like to say is thank you to our Rabbi Paul, because he was up here on the Bema solo tonight, and it was a very, very sweet. Just got a signal from someone. It was a very sweet service, and Rabbi Paul, you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you.
So thank you very, very much. I know it's not easy without Calix and Dan, but I think you'll all agree that the service was very, very lovely. And I would like to say that I have worshiped live stream the way many of you are this evening, and we are so fortunate to have that capability here. But boy, oh boy, there is nothing like being in this sanctuary. The sense of community and the connection is right here. And we have about 25 people here tonight. And let's see, the next service is on September 2nd at 7:30. And it would be really great if some of the folks who are live streaming, worshiping with us at home, could be here in person, because this is really what it's about, folks. I just really loved being here tonight. I wanted to mention that we're going to have a really fun brotherhood activity this coming week. It had been postponed, but we're going to have it on, Wednesday night, August 31st, and it's Jewish Jeopardy. Now, I will tell you that I remember nothing anymore, all right? And I was at first I said, no, I'm not coming to this because I'm gonna look like a fool. But I was assured by Gary Kamen that the whole idea is to have fun. And he told me that if I could say, what is it that is found in chicken soup that some people like very soft, and some people like it a little bit firmer, and do you know the answer to that? What is the answer? There you go. You can play Jeopardy, all right? So I hope you're going to be here this week. Again, being here in person, connecting is really what it's all about. And I would like to just say, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. Thank you, Iris, for sharing those important announcements with us. Thank you for your very kind words. And we are very appreciative, again, for everyone coming and for those who participated in the service. And I just want to reiterate one of the announcements that Iris made, and that is that next week's service, as she mentioned, is at 7:30. Normally the first Friday of the first Shabbat of the month is at 6 o'clock, but because we are having a special back-to-school family-friendly service on the 9th of September, rather than Labor Day weekend, we switched the early time to a week later at the request of the ritual committee, which I think is a very good idea. So please remember, if you're coming next week, it will be at 7:30. In 2 weeks, it will be at 6 o'clock. I encourage you to come to both. Again, we have Torah study tomorrow morning on Zoom at 9:30. We are going to conclude with the singing of Hatikva, the Israeli national anthem, on page 678. I'll ask you to please rise. Kol od belevav benima nefesh Yehudi homia ufate mizrach kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo avda tikvatenu hatikva bat shnot alpayim liotam chofshi be'artzenu eretz Zion Yerushalayim liotam chofshi be'artzenu eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Adonai oz le'mo yiten, Adonai varech et amo v'shalom. God, we ask that you give us strength to respect our traditions, strength to learn how to compromise and work with one another to meet our needs and follow the spirit of the law, not only the letter of the law. And may this respect for tradition, along with flexibility, lead us to a world and a community of shalom, of wholeness and of peace. Amen. Shabbat shalom. We are going to have Kiddush and Hamotzi. And please feel free to join me. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho v'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron lemase Bereshit ki hu yom techila lemikra'e kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim ki vanu vacharta ve'otanu kidashta mikohamim ve'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh hashabbat l'chaim. We'll join in Hamotzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom to everyone.